Okay, I don't even understand what is happening tonight. Hopefully Claire will be back. I do not know. It was just like, cut.
I was like, I didn't touch anything. I promise. My hands were here the whole time.
I know, girl, same. I never have these. I think you're my 60th interview. I never have these problems.
It's
So,
me.
um,
It's totally me.
do you have the winning lottery ticket or lottery number?
No, unfortunately.
No.
16.
Okay, we will keep going, and if it totally ends up just being a bust, we can reschedule and redo this because I've been so looking forward to your interview, and Instagram was just like, not today.
Me too. Well, I mean, I've been looking forward to it. I haven't been not today.
No,
uh,
Instagram was like, girls, not today.
Girl.
Okay.
So we were talking about Christmas and Cleats. For those of you just coming back, I was I was kind of dared and urged to write it. My best friend was like, I want to be the best friend in a Hallmark movie. So I wrote this very Hallmarky book, and it was funny because I got started in it, and I'm very much a plotser. So like I like to have a plan and I like to have organization, but I will start out with an idea, and I'll write like 4 to 10 chapters of something,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll go, okay, this is working, and then I'll start to like outline it and figure it out. And I got to that stage and I lost my job, and so I was just sort of like in this, looking back, it was sort of a perfect incubator because I needed something to like keep me going and something to not just be like looking for jobs, hunting for jobs. And then I also found, or maybe she found, that Hallmark was having a contest. And
No
so
way.
you could submit your novel to Hallmark this year. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a month and a half away. Let me, and I think well, if that's the timeline, I think I finished it, or I lost my job later. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I wrote the book in 5 weeks because I had time on my hands, and I just kind of knocked it out.
Okay, but
But I'm
how many words or pages is it? 5 weeks is still aggressive.
uh it's I always have to look. 300, 281.
Okay, that girl, she's thick. In 5 weeks?
5 weeks.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, mad respect.
Thank you.
Were you
Yeah, it was.
just like waking up, eating, writing in that like in a circle?
Well, and then like occasionally, because together, because I was getting unemployment, so I was like, here are the job interviews that I've done today, and I would like hunt for like jobs for like an hour. But yeah, I was pretty much. I also got really big into those like cooking boxes at the time, so I was definitely cooking, eating, writing. It was a wild moment.
Okay, but why does that sound so wonderful?
Because I mean, I think that's what like writers like want. Like we all like that's the dream for writers, to be able to like have a steady income coming in and food, and then all you get to do is write all day long. Like all you have to do.
Yep.
Um so yes, it was a like at the time I was completely panicked and just, dying a little. But at the same time, it was a luxury that I would happily take again anytime. And people pay like thousands of dollars to go on these writing retreats that they go for like a week or a
Yep.
month, and it was like, okay, well, I sort of had it in my own apartment.
How lovely that. Okay, so that was Christmas in Cleats, and you submitted that?
Yeah, so I submitted it to Hallmark, and as every good rejection story goes, they didn't want it. I got a very nice rejection letter back that I'm sure was a form letter, and I decided that was probably April or May that I got that back, and I was like, you know what? Some people celebrate Christmas in July. Let me just publish it on my own. And I'd already I self-published Time Turner on my own. So I was like, you know what? I don't know that this one has, like, it's a good story. It's a fun, good book. I actually went out and found like 3 or 4 different Hallmark drinking games and compiled them all and tried to like check all the boxes. And I, for most of them, I got like all but like 2 or 3.
That is hilarious. I didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah, go Google it after this.
So is it like a bingo card where
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like small town boy and corporate girl or something like that?
Yep. Santa Claus, if there's an angel, if there's a Christmas tree lighting, if there's a kiss under the mistletoe.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, we do watch Hallmark movies in our household, and it's actually with my teenage son and not my daughter.
I love that.
She rolls her eyes. She's like,
I love that. Good. I mean, there's such fun. It's nice because we're at like point A and point Z, and it's just like getting there. So it's
the
a nice
same blueprint, and we already know what happens.
Yeah.
But they're just feel good, wholesome little, romances.
And I don't know. I love them. I love it. I will sit and like they're background noise to me. So I'll just put them on in the background and, we'll watch the beginning, watch the end, in the middle. I'll do some work.
How people put on those fireplaces on their TV. You're like, I got Hallmark movies.
Hallmark.
Going.
Yeah.
I love that.
Confirm.
Okay. How did you even know that they're submitting? For those people that write in that genre and would like to submit, where do you find that? Where do people do that? How'd you?
They open up very rarely. But I just was on the Hallmark website and found it. I think, I subscribe to a couple writers magazines. I subscribe to Writer's Digest, which tells about contests and submission things. And, I think I also get Poets and Writers. There's several out there. But yeah, I just kind of scour the back pages for whenever submissions are open. There's also a couple of like websites too. Like if I used to be on them all the time. Writer's Digest actually has on their website some submission links too. But generally, like if you just Google writer submissions or novel submissions, things are out there to be found. Because it's amazing. It is a lovely, vast world of like everybody wants to keep the perpetual cycle of literature going. Like, and I love it. Because for every writer there is a reader. For every book that wants to be written, there's people out there that want to read it. And even if it's a topic or a storyline, or we just talked about Hallmark, it's a blueprint. Even if it's a blueprint story, you as a writer, you as an individual snowflake in this world have a different point of view, and there are people out there that want to read it.
I totally believe exactly what you say, because I have readers in my ARC team or on my street team. They're reading 100 books a year.
Yeah.
There are some really voracious readers out there. So to me, I'm like, there's room at the table for all of us.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, and I don't know about you. Like, I'm definitely a voracious reader. I will get on like a kick for something, and it's like in what was it? Like, I feel like it was like November, December. I was like, pirates, anything pirates. Send me pirates. Send me sea adventures. Let's go, pirates. Like all.
Oh, I did have an author on here who did a pirate one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to she's in my mind, and I'm gonna have to forward it to you, because and she did a pirate romance. But you're right, like hockey is big right now. Like motorcycle. I think motorcycle has always been around, but there's like crotch rocket motorcycles, like not motorcycle gangs, but like the crotch rocket, the Hondas or whatever, Ducatis or something like that.
And we're moving into baseball season. Like, I'm a big baseball lover, so I will start to read summer romancy rom-coms that are baseball themed, in probably the next month or so, because I love them.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
so there's an author I have coming on, Ivan Scott. He's a man writing romance, which I love.
I love that.
And he has one. His wife is his muse. She's a redhead, so his theme for all of his books is redhead, about the Dodgers when they're in Brooklyn.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll have to look for that chat, and then I'll have to go look for his books.
Yeah,
That's so exciting. Thank you for the recommendation.
of course. I gotta, build up my indie peeps.
Yeah.
But yeah, my son plays baseball, and so he's like, please do not write any baseball romance about my, about my players. I'm like, yeah, that would be weird because y'all are teenagers. Gross.
A little weird. Although maybe a YA series.
Yeah, but girl, I write spicy.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I know. But pen names exist.
I know for a reason. Okay, so I love that you're the first author I've ever talked to that has submitted to Hallmark.
Really?
And so I really appreciate you sharing with people, like if they want to get into submissions. I know Dragon Press does a lot of like fantasy anthologies, but you're the first one I've known about the Writer's Digest and then accepting these submissions into, their pieces into contests and such.
Yeah. I mean, and again, Hallmark, I feel like I saw it, I want to say, well, it was I think 2018 was when I submitted, and I looked back in like 2019 and it wasn't there. But if you go on their website and you poke around, just like any other website, there, like it'll pop up.
Yeah.
It was in the February time, like February 1, they announced it, and it was due by February 28. So, I would definitely look around that time, but I feel like, things are out there, and submissions are out there to be found. So,
Oh, all the time. Thank you for sharing that piece.
yeah.
Okay, so what got you started? Oh, let me take a drink. What got you started? Why contemporary fiction? And what does contemporary fiction mean to you? Because is it closed door? Is it open? Is it more romance themed? Is it more fiction themed? What does it mean?
I feel like I'm going to take the cheater answer on this one. I feel like contemporary fiction is sort of the chunk of all the books that sort of don't fit anywhere else. Because none of my books are really like, I wouldn't consider them rom-commy. I mean, if any of them, like Christmas and Cleats is, but it is definitely like closed door, like it's, or even like lighter than that. It is no steam. It is like, spoilers, there's maybe a kiss at the end, but it's very Hallmark. Yeah. Save the Last Piece is more of like a personal journey book, of a woman through her life in the wedding planning industry. And so, and I just, like, I feel like it used to be called, or I would fit into the column of like women's fiction chick lit.
Yeah.
Which I feel like those are not necessarily, like, I don't know if they're terms that people still use or not. Like, I
Well, I think Amazon got rid of chick lit.
yeah.
Yeah. That's not even, it used to be a category, but it's not on.
I mean, like, if anything, I would consider myself a chick lit author, but I feel like it's not, because I feel like women's fiction is definitely like the more moving books, the more heartfelt books, the more like mothers and grieving and like that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's, I feel untrue, like, telling that my books fall in that column. And I'm even though my time travel romance novel is fantasy because it's time travel, it's not really like, it's not there with all the the dragon books and the outer space books. And so it's, I don't know, it feels untrue to call it fantasy. So again, I just kind of am like, I don't know where I fit. It's contemporary. And what got me into it, to be honest with you, you said you did a deep dive. My background is in acting. I'm an actor. I've been doing plays and films since I was 6 years old. And I moved to New York 14 years ago to be on the Broadway. I have not made it to Broadway yet. I've done a couple of off-Broadway shows. But and we can dive more into that if you want.
Yes.
But back in 2015, was it 2015? All the years blur together. No, it was 2012 because that's when I set the book. 2012, I met a guy, and we had this. It was supposed to be sort of a one-night stand, and it turned into like this 3-month relationship that was just sort of terrible. But yet I was so emotionally invested in it. And when it ended, I just was not ready to let it go. So I was journaling about it. And I got very tired of journaling, oh, poor me, I'm so sad, crying, crying, crying. And I was also going through the Artist's Way at the time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna like get it back. And Artist's Way, there's a lot of like, you're supposed to journal 3 pages every morning. Or yeah. So I was in this like, I need to journal, but I'm tired of crying over myself. Because he's just a guy. Move on.
Okay, girl, we have all been there. All been there. Red flags. You're like, that first when that first breakup and your girl squad comes around, they're like, he wasn't worth you and all that, right? So when they go away, and we all go through that.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
Oh yeah. And I like, I've been on all sides of it. All sides. And so I started writing letters to him.
Okay.
But I'm a tiny bit paranoid, so I changed his name to protect the innocent, me.
Of course.
And so I started writing letters to him. And then because I'm a Gemini, I was not satisfied with only outgoing letters. So I started responding to myself as him.
I love this. This is awesome.
And so and then I started like weirdly, like the muse just kind of hit me. And I just started writing and filling like moleskin journals. They were fake moleskin because I was poor. With like this story, and those letters, a couple of those letters are actually in the time turner at the end of the book. I made them. Way. Yeah. So the time turner sort of was birthed out of a broken heart. And that's how I got started in writing. I've always been a storyteller though. So I've had this background as an actor. In high school, I was on the school newspaper and I was a school editor. I thought I wanted to be a journalist for a while. I wanted to write hard-hitting news. And then, the school that I transferred to didn't have a journalism program. They only had a newspaper. So I did the acting program and thought, oh, I'll go back. I'll go back for journalism later. Never did. So story has always been in my life, and it just kind of waited until this broken heart to kind of come to the surface.
Okay, but I love that because we all have those pages, journals full of pages, full of angst, and like they go from rage to I'm going to murder him to like, let's get back together. Well, it's the rainbow of emotions. We all have those journals, but I love that you converted it to letter writing to and from. That is so creative, like just ingenious.
Yeah. And I didn't do it on purpose. I just did it to make myself feel better. And then it turns out like it was just an interesting moment for me as a writer and as a reader. And I just kept going with it.
Well, and I'm fascinated because then you're taking, when I don't remember where I got this idea, but when I was writing a book and I was talking about like when you have like a Coke can, and you turn it and you have to see all the different sides. Like you can't see what I can see on my side of the Coke can, but if you keep turning. So I use this example in one of my books. But when you're writing letters, to yourself, it totally changes the angle, right? It changes the problem, how you view the relationship. It just sets it from the other point of view. To me, that's almost cathartic and healing because you're objectifying what it really was and not what we paint it to be.
Yeah. It's also kind of fun when you're writing like a dual POV or multiple POV to have them, because you have to figure out the relationships that they all have. And maybe it doesn't make it to the book. Maybe it doesn't make it to the printed version, but it's an interesting, like if you get stuck.
But being here, you have to figure out as an author, how all this tied here before you can write. I think.
Yeah. It's I love the Coke can example. That's a brilliant example. You're brilliant, Gigi.
Debut. Okay, thank you. This is my debut novel, but don't read that one. It's terrible.
We all have one.
Well, you get better as a writer. Like, so sometimes I do think about pulling that and rewriting that book. And I will eventually because I love the story. I have plenty of people that are like, where's book two? Where's his, I have a bad guy in it. And they're like, where's his arc at?
Yeah.
Where's his redemption, redemptive arc? And I'm like, I don't know.
You have to be ready for it though. I mean, Time Turner, I started in 2012. I think I finally published it in it was 2015 or 16. And I was kind of terrified to go back to it because I mean, I had several, like the nice thing about self-publishing is people are not afraid to tell you the mistakes.
Oh no.
And I had several people tell me, flaws in my book, and mistakes, but like they loved it, but they, it would, they got pulled out of it because of X, Y, and Z. And so I compiled the notes over the years, and finally last summer I like ripped the Band-Aid off, and I'm like, I'm going to republish it. I'm gonna just do it. And it wasn't as terrifying as I had made it out to be. Yeah.
Did
and it was also,
you write some of
yeah.
it? Oh,
yeah.
dang.
I mean, the story's still the story, but it got a major overhaul. I think I cut something like 80 pages out of it just because it was like I was so wordy. As a writer you want to use all the words and you don't need to.
Yep, you're in good company. I can't write anything short. I have to unpack it. I have to be like dive deep, and you have to be like super introspective. You're in good company.
Yeah, I was actually just chatting with another indie in like an indie author chat that I'm in, and she was like, I'm thinking about like I just published and I have this alternate ending, and I'm thinking maybe I should have written it that way. And I was like, girl, just republish it and like put an alternate ending, or like make it as a bonus for people, like when you do an anniversary audition, like just keep moving, it's fine.
Yeah, when you're self-published, there's like very few.
Yeah.
Okay, so Save the Last Piece. Is that your most recent?
Yes. Save the Last Piece I published in September 2023. So it's still a baby. I kind of published it quietly. I was just kind of like, there you go. And I like ran away. I worked in the wedding industry in New York City for about 3 years. I worked on over 70 weddings, bar mitzvahs, fancy events.
Stories. And you could just you could create your own subgenre of just that. Because we all like watch New York. We're all, like Sex and the City and all the shows that are set there. We're just like, what do they do? How did the other half live? Oh, yeah.
Well,
I would read it.
It was intended to be sort of a standalone series because I was going to do the Save the Last Piece as a wedding planner's assistant. And I have so many friends from the industry. I was going to do the cake baker's assistant, and then I was going to do the photographer's assistant. I actually have photographer's assistant. I have like 10 chapters of that one written. But it just, yeah. But I'm kind of like, it's so weird though, because it's like my interest for it kind of fell off. I have like 10 works in progress. Like I'm terrible. They're all like, Mom, you're neglecting us. And Mommy, I'm like, I'm sorry.
Mommy. Have you seen that with Lois, the Family Guy?
Mom,
like,
Mommy.
Like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I like walk by my computer like with my head down. I'm like, sorry, I have things to do.
With whips, we all have whips, or you get a shiny new idea and like you're like, oh, like squirrel.
Yeah.
I want to work on that instead. Yeah. It's hard I think that's why I try to write as fast as I can and publish as fast as I can, because I get bored with my own one.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Yes. I've been working on a baseball book actually for about a year and a half, and I kind of took a hiatus to redo Time Turner, and well, I say a year and a half. I was working on it and I paused to work on Time Turner, to rework Time Turner and to finish up Save the Last Piece, and I was going to go back to it, and then inspiration hit in like December, January, and I had this like rom-com in my head, and I was just so I wrote down 40,000 words in like 2 weeks. Like crazy. Like who does that? And maybe it was longer. But it was a little longer, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, it was just like, okay, let's just go with this. And now I'm kind of like, this is a little racy. Can I publish this?
We'll convert
Um,
you to the dark side. It's just a matter of
well,
time.
and that's the thing too. Like, I'm like, because I'm so out there, like my name is out there, and I love how, like, because you can Google me and find all the fun things about me, right?
I did.
As you did. It is one of my favorite things to have people go, oh my gosh, I didn't know you did all these things, and I'm like, well, that's what my website's for. um, but yeah, like part of me is like, do I write with a pen name? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Since we're here, what are your thoughts on pen name for books that are sort of out of your
Yeah,
normal
so
genre?
typically, like what you could do is a play off your name. I've seen where people would do initials,
Yeah,
you know, so it'd be like, your initials, Solly.
yeah,
And so, I mean, that's really common. I know like Alessandra Torre does that. Joanna Penn does that. There's, oh gosh, I just lost, who is the one who does there's a horror one, not Stephen King, but there's another one. So it's really common that they'll
yeah,
flip initials. Like if they write romance, they want to do romantic suspense, or if they want to do mysteries, they'll flip to using their initials.
yeah. Solly is such a uncommon last name, though. I feel like I can't use it if I use a pen name.
Okay, I admit, my mama's neighbor has the same name as yours as her first name,
Really?
but she is from Colombia, and so she's like Isuli. I mean,
Oh yeah,
she has that amazing Colombian accent that
yeah.
is so sexy when she is like Isuli. I don't know. She does some with her mouth, and I'm just like, wow, I am not gay, but when you say it that way,
Sometimes it just hits you. Sometimes it's yeah,
okay,
yeah.
it's
I
like
get it.
she talks like Sofia Vergara in Modern Family.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Well, Solly translates to, or Solly shortened is soul, which soul is the sun in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, maybe I'll just be Claire Sunshine as my rom-com name.
Or you could be like Soli, like she says it's Soli. So yeah.
All right, Solly. Yeah, for the dark romance.
Yeah, but that's her first name. And so I'm like, you can read me the dictionary. Every time I see her, I'm just like, what's going on with you? I don't even think I hear her words. I just listen to her accent.
Is she going to be a character in an upcoming
Oh my God.
Gigi Meyer book?
I should. That is such a good idea. I never thought of it.
And then you have a reason to talk to her, and you can like record her. Like, would you mind talking so I can get your accent down? Yeah.
Are you
Phonetically.
recording this? No. Okay. So you have 10 whips. Say the last piece came out in September 2023.
Yeah.
Who's coming out next? Have you made that decision? What are you working on, and who's coming out?
I really want to push through this rom-com. I have a vacation plan to go to London and then to Greece end of July, early August. And I am manifesting and putting it out there that I will have a finished manuscript to take with me. I think the rom-com is probably in the best
Right?
yeah, of all of them, because it's got a through line. I just need to like get I tend to, again, Plotser. I'll start chronologically, and then I'll plot out my outline so I can kind of figure out where the holes are, or where I'm going. And this one I didn't outline. But like I don't know where it's going. I mean, I know how it ends, but I just don't know how I'm gonna get from, like, I'm at the letter M right now. I don't know how to get to Z really. Part of that
Okay,
because
how does that make you feel? If you're a plotser, how does that make you feel not knowing the rest of the story?
I'm kind of excited by it, to be honest, because when I am in the mode, in the space, and nothing special has to happen. It's just, Claire, sit down and write. Like, just focus and write, and I'll get out of the habit of it, and then I'll make myself It's been a really crazy like month. April was a really crazy month in my day job. And so I just kind of put everything on hold, and I'm like, okay, May, we're going to go back to writing. And I'm going to be traveling a little bit the next like couple of weeks. So I'll be on a plane. So I'm a
Ooh,
captive audience.
perfect.
Um, so I plan to just sit down and write. And when I'm focused, the ideas just sort of come, which is great. Because I don't, it doesn't, it's weird. It doesn't feel like work. I will sit down to write and I'll just tell myself, okay, just write for 10 minutes and 2 hours will go by. And I don't
Right.
know how or when it happened. Um, and I just get, I find a zone and it's lovely. And I am, I don't know if it happens for everybody. I've heard other people say yes, it just depends what you're working on too. Like I was super inspired. Something it was inspired by something that like somebody had met in my life. And I sort of had like a fantasy spin-off, what is it, Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's sort of like my brain was like, well, what would happen if dot dot dot.
Yeah.
And so instead of just fantasizing about it, I just like decided to write it and see what would happen. And it's just kind of entertaining for me to see where it's going. And I mean, again, it's a rom-com, so it's like there is sort of a template for it. There is sort of like I've read enough rom-coms, I know what the skeleton is. It's like what are the pieces that I'm plugging in and playing, I'm not a fan of a third act breakup, but I want it to be interesting, like an interesting twist. So like I feel like that's the trickiest part. Like how will I make this interesting to readers, but not necessarily do a third act breakup? But if I get to a point and it's like that's the answer, then third act breakup is gonna be what it is. So
Now, I love that because I feel like that's where the magic happens. I am 100% pantser. I go where the story takes me.
yeah,
I have no idea where my characters are going. I have so many examples in my books where all of a sudden I'm like, we're not supposed to be doing this right now, or we're supposed to be. And my most recent book was an off-Broadway temperamental playwright. Very, very dark. And
yep,
she's in first year of fashion school, Parsons. And so that came out April 1st. But that very first spicy scene, I was like, okay, we're going to do it in the bedroom. We did not do it in the bedroom because that male lead had another idea. And he's like, and all of a sudden she's in the bedroom. He's like, and he leads me to this other door. And I'm like, what's in the other door? Where are we going with this? And
isn't it? It's weird. It's almost like there's something else. Like, and people, everybody's got a name for it, but like the muse is just like, oh hey, you should do this instead.
oh, yeah, he totally took over.
Yeah,
And they actually had it in his private library while he was relaying the story of his play. And she was embodying the woman in the play in her intimate scene, and they were recreating it. And, so anyway, I was just like, let me just go where this guy wants to take
yeah,
me and we'll see how it works out. And so that's what I understand. Like, you have a little bit of discomfort
yeah,
about you're at M and you don't necessarily know how to get to Z. But I feel that's where that zone, that magic, when you just like really like surrender to it, it makes such a great story. And I have so many times that I've just surrendered and I'm like, okay, I'll clean it up and
yeah.
rewrite. So I'll clean it up through read through.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agreed. And I will create an outline, but it's like it's like a school book report outline. Like it is Roman numerals and here's what I'm gonna accomplish and act 1, act 2, act 3.
Girl, you're
And
taking me back to English class with that, like Roman numeral 1, ABC, Roman numeral 2,
yeah,
ABC.
yeah. Well, I mean, no, I taught myself how to write. So, I mean, I like took English classes and things like that, but nobody taught me how to write a novel. And I was just like, well, I feel like I need some sort of, again, time travel romance novel. I wrote it out of order. And ever since then, I'm like, okay, you're going to have a little bit of
We need
a
some
form.
Yeah, we need some curb for
Yeah.
the wheels on this thing.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about you too, but it's like once you're in the flow of it all, that it just kind of moves. And I like that you said you like to write and publish as fast as you can,
Mhm.
because I feel that so much, because I feel like where my work in progresses get like they just sort of stall is more because life happens to me and I don't push through life and I don't find the time to write. And it's like, you really should write every single day, even if you only have 5 minutes to give it. You, Claire, need to write. So, I will be getting off this call with you and then going to write for at least 5 minutes
That's
because
good.
I haven't done it today.
What I do as a little hack, because my minimum is 3,000 words a day,
Ooh,
but think of how much time we waste. Like you have mass transit, so maybe you're commuting somewhere in Houston, Texas, where I'm at, or in the car. But I can do voice notes. I mean, when the train comes and you're watching all the cars, you could do it then. But scrolling,
yeah,
how much do we scroll? And I'm like, girl, you are not getting out that phone to scroll. If you're getting out that phone, go to the notes app, speech to text, what that scene is, or you're marinating on, or where you're stuck. Just talk into voice
yeah.
notes, and then you can dump it into your translator or Word or whatever, and figure it out later. And so we have all these little tips and tricks, because you're right. We all hit in every manuscript. You hit that speed bump, and you're like, oh, I don't, and then you have to decide: do I go back, or do I continue forward and fix it and rewrites, or fix it later?
Well, and there's a certain amount of space too once you've gotten away from it for a while. Like I had to go back and reread my entire 40,000 words,
Yeah,
which that takes time. Yeah.
tone, pacing. Where was I going with
Yeah.
this? I had that great thought. Did I write it down? No.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's good to go back and read through it. Like I've also now trained myself to do like a mini Bible, like at the like I've written in several different word writing programs. My favorite is now just Google Docs, because you can create bookmarks, and I do that for the chapters, so I have all the
Yeah.
chapter headings, and then in like on the very first page, I'll do things like major dates and like first and last names of people and anything that's like really specific details, like a child's age or hair color, eye color. And I'll, it's good to have that, like, and I do it on the first page because it's easy to find.
Oh, I had to go back today, and I was like, what is he? My character's on the run, and I'm like, was it drugs or gambling, or did he get mixed up with a gang? I didn't even remember. And I'm like, girl, you're only 30,000 words in. How did you forget?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I try to be good, and like when I make something very specific at like that, I will go toss it up in the Bible and then keep writing. But it is yeah, and it's weird because it's like the readers, again, I love readers for this, that they like pull out those details and they're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. But also I feel bad disappointing readers that like I as the writer just didn't keep track of my own characters.
Oh no, I had I think book Bibles, I love them, but you have to be disciplined. And so I will start one, all good intentions. I start one. I have mine for the Cougars and Cubs series. I have a huge spreadsheet, right? So it has each cougar and each cub, and then you start to getting into their like nuances and their mannerisms and stuff. And if I don't put that down, that is lost
Yeah.
forever, because I'm not going to remember that one girl has a nervous
Yep.
tick. One sits and twirls her hair, but I wrote it all through the book that she twirled her hair, and I'll never remember that again.
Yeah. 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 And it like, and it's weird how it leaves you. Like it's so important at the time,
Yes.
when you're creating that character, and it's like you can see it. Like I can see my characters. I hear them. But then, if I don't make a note of it, it goes away.
Okay. I had a reader who sent me, she posted, and she tagged me on this post, and it was about 2 different cups of coffee. And so in one of the books is like how she always makes fun of her male interest because he has this like fussy drink of coffee. It's all like chemistry and all this stuff. And she's like jet black motor oil. And so my reader had snapshot like a fussy little cup of chemistry coffee, you know, and then her jet black, and she was like, "This is me and my husband." And I was just like, "Why is she sending me cups of coffee?" Girl, remember what you wrote?
Yeah. 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 Well, and it's, I mean, I don't know. It's also a funny thing too as an author, because like you created these characters and then you sent them off into the world, and like I don't remember. Like I wrote it 10 years ago. I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah. Or you like have 50 other ideas
Yeah.
now, so I don't remember the nuances. So I'm trying to be better about writing in the
Yeah.
mannerisms and nuances.
Yeah.
So that way when people do approach you, you're like, "Of course I know. I wrote it, okay."
But I mean, it's also like, you know, like your best friend or like the people that you see all the time, like you notice something about them, or you noticed a habit that they had when you first started being friends with them. But like, I don't remember, like, I just don't pay attention to that, like those kind of things anymore.
Exactly.
You know, just because they do it all the time. So it's like, it's sort of a, like a fine line between both of those things. Like, it's been so long since I wrote it, but also like these characters have been around for me forever. So I just don't, like, I just don't pay attention. And again, it's I'm on to the next one of my 10 works in progress.
I have a vault of 10 finished novels, and I don't know if they'll ever see the time of day. I have no interest in going back. Every now and again, I think of one couple. They kind of like just live. I have two couples that marinate, and one is a paranormal romance, and then one is also set in New York City because I love your town. I think I just, you know, want to hang out there all the time.
And come visit anytime. We'll hang out.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Definitely will. Okay. So if you wrote 40,000 words or more in 2 weeks, and now you're saying you have really 2 months, I mean, May and June, and then you go on vacation July and August, when would you release it? If you're able to meet your timeline, when would you release it?
I would hope to, I mean, you know, I feel like editing always takes twice as long as you think it does and want it to. I mean, I would
clean our nose at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, because I always like to send it to an editor for, like, I try to edit myself first.
Yep.
I do edit myself first. And then I send it to an editor to just kind of like a developmental editor to kind of like look at it for the arc and some basic just kind of stuff. And that, like, I feel like that always takes about a month to like get to them and then get back, because you get in their queue. And then get it out to betas for a couple of weeks. And then, I don't know, I kind of maybe October, early November. I mean,
okay, that's impressive. That's good.
Would love to get it out before the end of the year, because it's like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I published 2 last year. Let's get 1 done this year.
But you said life has been lifing.
Yeah, it has. I mean, summer will be more quiet. The late spring is always really busy for me, and then like October, November is usually pretty busy. Mm-hmm. But it's like if I can get my first round of edits done, or read through, make them when I'm, you know, on vacation in August. And how I edit, like I'll read through and scribble up, like I'll print out and scribble out the pages.
Oh, by hand.
And then I love by hand. And then I will go back and I will edit backwards. So I'll start at the last page and make all my edits, and then read through that last, like go 1 chapter and then read through the chapter and see if I sort of captured it. I do that for 2 reasons, because the pages going forward will always stay in numerical order with the pages going forward. And I'm also less likely to sit there and read my story and start to pick apart the story when I edit backwards. Because if I didn't notice major craziness while I was reading it start to finish in like a printed copy, then it's fine. And I'll mark those overhauls that I need to make, in the big copy, you know, in the printed copy. But yeah, I found editing backwards is really effective for me. Because and whenever I get edits back from anybody else, I will start with their last page and go forward.
Okay, that is genius. Genius. I've never heard anyone say it, but you're right, because at some point when we are doing that first read through, when you just pick up the story and you're reading, you're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be editing. I got to put my editor hat on. But when you do it backwards, it forces you. Man, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
what would you
and
do
sometimes,
2 years ago? I needed to do 2 years ago.
well, you got me now. I'm here forever.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. I think I was done. I think, oh, just editing from the back to the front is like, it, like you just said, it feels weird.
Mhm.
But oh yeah, that was what it was. I sometimes will, like, if I'm in a flow with editing, I'll do 2 and 3 chapters in a row, or if I know the chapters are sort of a through line connected, I'll do 2 or 3 in a row. Or if there's not that many edits, I'll do 2 or 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That's rare, very rare.
No, but that's genius because when you do it backwards, things just like up here on the page, they just jump out at you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'll read it front start to finish, but when I'm editing, I will do page 101 first, and then page 100, and then,
Yeah.
and go that way.
It's so smart. So smart. Okay, I know we are running out of time, and if I could keep you longer, that would be great. Cause we haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah.
Whenever you're done traveling or wherever you want to put me on the schedule.
Perfect. Well, when the book comes out, I will. Okay, so this is even a bigger goal to get the book out, the next one.
Heck yeah, I'll help you promote it as much as I can.
Fantastic. I'll take it.
Okay.
That's the one thing I'm not good at. And I have, Bookstagram friends, and they're like, you should, somebody sent me to you, and they were like, oh, I love Gigi. You should go talk to her. And actually I was mentioned, like, I was like posting in a couple of my chat groups, and they're like, oh my gosh, we love Gigi. So
That's
yeah, I mean,
sweet.
I'm bad at, like, I will happily talk about my books. Like, I should do like talk shows all the time, because I'll sit around and like talk about writing and talk about books. But I'm like, I wrote this book. Do you want to go buy it? Like, that's my form of like, I'm terrible at it. So
I think
yeah.
that's everybody, because as an indie author, you wear so many freaking hats.
Yeah.
And then marketing, you have to get out there and we're so excited to talk about our story and make our characters real and be like, I want to just tell you. But, then to ask them for that sale, it's so hard because it's just not how we are. I mean, we're little like, nerds that like to talk about our works.
I'm a big nerd. I'll own it.
Real
Huge nerd. Huge.
same. I'm a homebody nerd, and everybody's like, for real? I'm like, oh, this chick doesn't party. Party out at my book club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to transition a little bit, if you can stay on longer.
Of course.
Actress. I mean, and let me just go through the list that I saw on you. You have 2 theater production companies that you run. You have acting. You're an author coach. You are an author. And then you work full time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have, a social life and family and friends. So I don't know if we have the same amount of, I have 24 hours. I think you have 240 hours in your day.
Yeah. I applied for some extra. I was very blessed that I was not only approved for the extra hours on the day that I was given, but I was given a couple of extra more. So I have 37.
You got an X because one, you do have so many things going on.
Yeah. And weirdly, I mean, until recently, I'm good about getting sleep too. I'm a single lady in the city. I have no kids. I have no pets. I have a yard and I have flowers growing, but they need a little bit of water, and every once in a while I talk to them, but but they're fine on their own. And I don't do all the things all the time. And I am definitely a quintessential Gemini in this way. Like, I will be so focused on one thing for like 3 or 4 months, and then something else will get my attention. And I mean, just today I was out, I was doing my day job, and then I went out to a play reading. And on my way to the play reading, I was reading a friend's book for beta reading thoughts. And then got the subway back, or I went out to dinner with some friends.
Nice.
And then came back reading again on the train the Friends book for beta reading, and then hopping on this for you. And it's just, I think it's you talk about not scrolling as much. I've been bad about scrolling lately. So I think setting a timer for scrolling is what I need to do from here on.
We all are. We all are doing this at night, in bed, in the morning, avoiding life, avoiding responsibilities. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. But I mean, and I'm not, I sound impressive, and I am impressive,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm an octopus. I'm like, if I don't have 8 things going, I'm that person that's going stir crazy. So it is harder for me to sit down and do nothing for an hour. Although that said, that is vacation for me. Like, give me a beach and a tropical drink, and I will sit and do nothing for a week. I'm super happy to do that.
I was about to ask that. Like, this girl is going on vacation to London and Greece, so she's either going to blitz those cities and see like 14 sites a day, or she's going to do nothing and drink coffee everywhere.
Well, London, I actually I studied abroad, and I lived in London for a few months in college. So London is sort of like going home. So I'm actually I'm going to see a bunch of West End shows.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool though.
So sorry.
Where are they? In London?
They're in London, yeah. So I'm going to go. So West End is their Broadway, is London's Broadway. So I'm going to go see Hello Dolly, and I'm going to see Starlight Express, and I want to go see, and just like we have off Broadway, they've got off West End and indie theaters too. So
Starlight Express was my very first date I ever went on.
Really?
No lie. With the roller skating.
I have never seen it. It is a show that I've heard.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Did you like it?
Okay, well, yes. But what I did not know at the time was my little boyfriend was gay. And I didn't know that at the time. And I was like, when is he gonna,
We've all had him.
But what was so cute is afterwards, we went to Starlight Express. We went to dinner downtown because it was in downtown Houston that they had it. And so I was just waiting the whole time for him to give me my first kiss. I was like, we were boyfriend, girlfriend, and it never happened. And then afterwards, I was like, what happened? And he was like, I need to confess something to you. So after, I was like, oh, everything makes sense now. It makes sense why we're, like 16 going to this Broadway show. Well, for our first date. But consequently, he was not ready to come out. So I ended up being his beard for every school dance, bar mitzvah, you name it. I was his beard. I was like, that's cool.
We've all been there.
So that is, when you said that, it just brought all those beautiful memories back.
Well, I'm glad they were beautiful memories. That's good. That's good. There's also a book there somewhere,
If Bradley is listening, he's out there somewhere.
Yeah, there somewhere. Hi, how you doing? Starlight Express was great. So I'm, and then Greece is gonna be the sitting on a beach. My best friend Rebecca and I are gonna go, and we're just gonna sit on a beach for a few days. Well, we're gonna stop in Athens and see some rocks first. She's my favorite travel buddy, because she's like, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to sit on a beach, but I also want to see some rocks. And she's like, great, done. Here you go.
Like the Colosseum, and there are some of them. I mean, Greece is, it's stunning. I've never been. I have a friend who goes all the time. Has a house over there. The water's amazing. The food is incredible. And the men are hot. Now, she did warn me, they're broke, and they may have you and several other women, in the lineup on their roster. But they'll make you feel really, really pretty.
Sometimes you need that in your life. Sometimes
we need a little bit of attention. I don't mind if I share it for a week.
All right, I'm good for it.
I'm going back to America anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a week. It's fine. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next time.
That's a rom-com.
Totally. Totally a rom-com. Yeah. So, and it's funny. Well, and we were talking about theater. So like I moved here to do theater, and it's funny that I went to this play reading today, and the director of this play reading, was a director that I did Sound of Music with 10 years ago.
No
And
way. Did
I
he recognize you?
he did. He knew my name. And I was like, wait, like it's been 10. I'm like, okay, am I that, like, am I good memorable or bad memorable?
Hey, memorable is memorable. We'll figure out good or bad later. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and well, and like I said, I'm an octopus, but I also find that there is sanity in the levity, right? In the different parts of your life. So it's like you can't only write. You have to go out there and live your life, right? You can't only act. Like acting, the reason I sort of turned writing, turned from acting into writing, because I act a little bit, but I'm like, I don't do as many shows as I used to. Partially because I have a day job and I like the life of having a, a steady paycheck and being able to go to Greece and London, as opposed to, living paycheck to paycheck and doing indie theater. And I stumbled a couple of these indie theaters that I did plays with, I stumbled into, and, I was like, hey, you need some help? I'm happy to help out. And then they're like, oh, hey, we would love to have your help. Why don't you come join us? And it's just as fulfilling. I mean, I love to act and I can't wait to like act again, but it is just fulfilling to one of the theater companies I worked with. I'm super passionate about. I'm the executive director of the Bechtel Group, which is a company that focuses on writing roles for women
Oh,
and underwritten about groups. So we showcase playwrights, of all backgrounds that write, for people that don't normally get a voice. And I love
love that.
working with these writers and workshopping their plays. And actually the show that I went to today was a play that we workshopped in November, and the playwright invited me to this workshop, and it was a fancy, like there were some names in this today. And I felt like super fancy to be in this room. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like you sort of have to follow the river that the life is taking you down. We all love journey books. We all love stories where characters move and change and shift and develop, and we're readers. And it's like, well, why don't what you we can have that in our lives too. So
I think the richness to your stories, like you can talk about what it is like to ride the subway, and you would take riding, if you're riding the subway in that outfit, you're not going to go crawl in bed wearing that outfit, right? Like, how gross and dirty the
well,
subway
how
is.
drunk am I mean,
But I feel like, you have to have those experiences. And how cool is that
yeah,
to sit around
yeah,
and workshop something in November,
yeah,
and then the person perseveres, it's tedious, it's like a labor of love, and then finally you're now around this table with other like bigger names. I mean,
yeah,
that's literally watching someone else's dream come true.
yeah,
And it's so inspiring when you're around that. So not only are you creating your own art, you're supporting artists around you, but also like it fills your soul. That's how
yeah,
I always think of art.
yeah,
That's why I love going to the
yeah.
theater.
Well, and I feel like it's true in theater. I also feel it's true in this writing community, in this Bookstagram community. Like, I love that there's so many indie authors out there, like you, that are shouting out other indie authors,
I
and it's like
try to.
it is gorgeous, and you're doing a great job. And it's like, it's nice to be able to just kind of chat with people
Mhm.
and see that our stories are similar but our backgrounds are different, and your success is my
Yep.
success, and is somebody else's success, and there's plenty of room for everybody at this gigantic table, of life. And it is I don't know, it warms my heart to do any of the theater things, any of the art things, and be there either as the person who's front and center or the cheerleader. Like, I'm happy to be either, because it will always, I don't know, there's something fulfilling about all of it.
I totally agree. That's why I started Let's Go Live, because when I first started, I didn't have anybody I could reach out to. And I tell people all the time, my DMs are always open. I will help you. If I have knowledge, I will share it. But I really like meeting people. I like, nerding out and talking about books and writing craft and author journey, because I feel it's so beautiful. What is so just awe-inspiring for me is everything in this world started with an idea.
Yeah.
Someone had a thought. Electricity, we take it for granted, but that was someone's thought.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to burn fire anymore. We don't want to use oil all the time. Like, everything around you started with one person's thought.
Yeah.
And then it becomes something. I think that's exciting to me. That's what I just like. I want to hear other people's opinions, their ideas. I want to learn about them, because people are fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're better, humans. We were given the gift of speech for a reason. We are better as a community. We are better as a hive mind, because, you just brought up energy. Like Thomas Edison had what is that, Edison? No, maybe his telephone. Yes, Edison is oh my God, the light bulb. Come on, Claire. Oh.
I'm not judging you.
But there's this. Yeah, go ahead.
I like to watch that. I'm going to reel my nerdness, but History Channel has The Men That Built America. So I like to watch that documentary, because I don't watch television, but I'll watch me some documentaries.
I love that for you. I love that for you. But you have, I sit around a table. It's like one of my works in progress. It is a finished novel, but it's terrible. And I was talking to a friend about it, and it's a murder mystery. It's a cozy mystery. And I was, it's going to be a series. And I was talking to a friend about it, and I finished my sort of, and the story is this, it's like a Goonies for adults. And they were like, oh my God, I would totally read that.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes.
Oh, now I have to write that, because it's brilliant. And then a couple months later, I was talking to another friend, and I was telling him sort of the storyline. And he was like, you have to kill the love interest, right? And I was like, no. And then 2 days later, I was like, he's right.
He's right.
So, it's just, it's that. And it's talking to different people. Well, and even just talking to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to go write. I haven't written in a couple of days. I need to do that tonight, to get back in my habit, in my swing of things. So as I kick my stand, we need each other. We need each other in this world, and it's I love the people that are in this community in Bookstagram that lift each other up. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, all of your viewers, for being here. I'm not ending this. That's your job. But but I don't know. I continually am surprised and awed with how many people are just supportive of each other in this realm. And I love it.
Oh, I agree with you. The only person I'm competing with is me from yesterday. End of story. I don't have that whole girl thing going on. Other authors, other romance authors. I love it. And I always say it's so old fashioned, but we rise with the tide. Yeah.
Well, it's old fashioned, but it's still used on purpose, for reasons. Because
Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions, and we are definitely rebooking, because I have about 40,000 more questions.
Great. I love it.
I feel like if me and you were in the same city, it would be trouble.
Well, anytime what's funny? Next weekend, I'm going to North Carolina to visit somebody I met on Bookstagram. I've never met them in real life before. I'm going to meet her in real life.
No way.
And then in 2 weeks, I'm going to go to Canada, to Ottawa, to go see another Bookstagram friend who I've had chats with on the phone. Like, we've done Instagram calls. So let's make it happen. Come to New York, or I'll come to you.
I know, I was thinking but I'm going to Boston, but you may be in London, Greece, because I think I'm going at the end of July, early August. We haven't finalized it yet.
If I'm around, Boston's a couple hours away. It's not hard.
In Texas, you drive 12 hours and you're still in Texas. So when I get up there, you guys are all so close together.
So, and well, and it's funny because I grew up in California, so California's
Similar.
large as well.
Yeah.
But the East Coast mentality is like, oh, everything here is close together. So everything out in the rest of the United States is so close together. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay, we will keep the conversation going in the
Great.
DMs, but I have a few rapid fire questions. You
Ready.
ready?
Hope so.
Super serious.
Let me get a drink of water.
I feel like I need that background music, like the Jeopardy
Okay.
music.
Yes. Do 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 do.
Okay, do you like paperback or e-reader better?
Oh, um, both. I like e-reader because I live in the city and my Kindle is much lighter than any book will be. Although the book I'm reading right now, I'm reading a hardcover and carrying it back and forth to work. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah.
I know. I love books. It's just you can't beat the convenience of an e-reader. You throw it in your bag, it goes everywhere with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And when a book
Okay,
ends, you can start the next one
on the
right
next
away.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my TBR gets longer. Every time I meet new authors, I'm like, okay, bye, 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 bye.
It's right here, my TBR. This is like a third of it, maybe not. No, 1/8, 1/20th.
I know, I feel your pain. Um, are you a plotter or a pantser?
A Plotser, definitely. Again, I'm gonna go right down the middle of the road of all your answers. I start out as a pantser, and then I will sort of, if I've like fallen in love with it, I'll kind of give myself like a page or two outline, and then try to use that sort of as a roadmap. But I'll keep pantsing as I
Yeah.
go.
Do you write in first person or third?
Oh, the current work in progress is a dual POV and it is first person in both POVs. So I tend to write more, though it's weird, I tend to write more in third
Wow.
person. Yeah, so
Third is hard. And yeah,
third is hard.
I'm a first. I don't think I could. I mean, everyone, yeah, sure, you can go from I to she or he, but I think it's the knowing, the planning, right? Like, oh, I can't let the cat out of the bag because, she doesn't know and I'm not her and I'm not him, or, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mad respect. Any of these third person authors, I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The omnipotent puppet master is kind of,
You're like, I don't know. I just do it. I do
yeah,
both.
wherever the muse takes
Okay.
me.
Are you plot driven or character driven?
Mm, definitely plot driven. I like the journey.
Mhm.
And I will often have to go back and like fill out my characters more. I find that in editing, other than correcting, grammar and, major plot holes, I will have to go back in and be like, oh, okay, you need to flesh out this character a little bit more.
Okay, that's interesting. A lot of authors are character driven.
It's also very interesting because I'm an actor and I'm trained to look at people and observe people, but yet I want to tell you the start to finish more than I want to tell you about the feelings and hopes and dreams.
And I still don't do it. Do you write alone, write with a partner, or writing sprints?
I I feel like sprinting is probably what I do most of.
Mm.
Because I will sit down and I will, especially like when I'm getting the wheels cranking again,
Yeah.
I will say, because 10 minutes, I can do anything for 10 minutes, right? So I'm going to sit down and write for 10 minutes, focus for 10 minutes. So I'll set a timer to make sure that I do it. Because then I don't have to worry about like the, timer going off or anything like that. And I can just, or, I don't look at the clock. I just keep writing. But yeah, I mostly write. I live alone, so I write alone.
Yeah. All right. Outline or discovery writer?
Discovery at the beginning and until I get like between 4 and 10 chapters written, and then I'll do like a brief outline of sort of where I want the story to go. It's more important for like the middle marks, because I always know how the story's gonna, like, I know the end point that I want to get to. But it's those like, I need to be like, oh, this is when they be a rom-com. This is when they meet the parents, and this is when they, or like just
Almost
plot
like a
points.
beat sheet.
Yeah.
Trying to meet a beat sheet.
Yeah, it's more of that, I think, than an outline. But I just do the Roman numerals.
Well, and then we all avoid like the saggy middle.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense though why you're like, I'm gonna pants it and then I'll pick up the middle, because that's where we all have our saggy middle problems. Yeah. That's where we're trying to meet the beats, and that's when like the wheels come off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the real work starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're just like looking at all the parts of the car going, oh, I don't know.
Who took the manual? Anybody seen it?
Can we call somebody to take care of this?
Exactly. Do you write in silence or with music?
Again, middle of the road. Sorry about it. Sometimes I like absolutely silence. Sometimes my favorite is like a Pink playlist, like the singer Pink, and I'll like, you can find it because it's like upbeat, like poppy music. And I like, if I'm writing something serious, I probably won't do any music, but if I'm it also helps like kind of crank through to the poppy upbeat music. But yeah.
Well, no, I mean, Pink has a strong voice, so I don't know, I would end up being like singing her stuff, maybe raging, maybe a little like women empowerment. Like, you gonna call me, I'll kick your ass.
Well, maybe you need that.
I know, I was like, if I'm mad at someone, I want to put on my Pink playlist and then I'm going to confront them.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, but I love her performance at the Grammys. Remember when she did that acrobat and it got her wet, got everybody else wet?
Amazing. So amazing.
Yeah, it's like that, one of the best performances, and no one has ever tried it or topped it. I mean, that is so niche-y, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, she killed it.
I mean, I feel like the closest thing is like Britney with the snake.
Yes. Iconic moments.
Yeah. But I like, yeah, you can't. Yeah. So good. So good.
I'm also good. Writing with a deadline, write your own pace.
I love an arbitrary deadline. I love, like, I just gave you I'm going on vacation in August, and I want it to be done by then. And then, I just said I want to publish by November. So, and usually what I'll do is I'll cheat myself and I'll be like, July 15th, that's when we're gonna get it done. And then I can be nice to myself and be like, just kidding, you have 2 more weeks.
Just joking, girl.
Just joking.
That's hilarious. I love that. Do you write in series or standalones?
Standalones. I would love to write a series. It's a goal someday, but it'll be standalones for a while, because that's, yeah.
Well, it's easier, and prepare your book Bible when you have a series coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't gotten an idea that's really like perpetual enough to fill multiple books. Yeah. So someday.
Historical setting, present day or future?
I like present day. I like being in the here and now. Although, again, time travel romance novel I wrote, in 1912. So, okay. I do like history. So,
well, and it's trickier though. That's why when your first novel, you're like, I'm gonna write historic, and I'm like, the language, the outfits, the technology. I mean, to me, it's just so daunting to get all that right. Yeah. I know you could Google 1912, but you're like, is it the Dust Bowl? Do they have again, does everybody have electricity? Do they not? Does everybody have indoor plumbing? Do they not? I mean, just the amount of research. I can't imagine.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, part of the reason I write in the here and now is there's, like you said, there's less research. Mm-hmm. I also tend to be a research nerd, and then we'll go down that rabbit hole and just will just chew it up. And then I'm like all focused on the research, and then my writing just grinds to a halt.
You're like, let me tell you what women used in the 1912 for tampons. Yeah, I'll tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. 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 And it's fascinating.
So you've actually looked that up?
I mean, it's,
You can be like, no comment. Cut.
I mean, well, they did rolls. They did rolls of, they would roll like you roll bandages. They would do small rolls, or they would do like, just, like a maxi pad they would wrap. Yeah. Or like you do like the toilet paper when it happens accidentally, you have nothing with you, just kind of like shove it up in there for, yeah. It does.
Oh my God.
It didn't make it in my book though,
That one, I wonder why. Oh my gosh, you are just so delightful. I knew this would be a fun interview. I had a feeling it would run long. We barely scratched the surface of it. So I would love to have you back again when you are available,
Yeah.
and when you get your book done, and then we can deep dive further.
Fantastic. I'm in. Sign me up.
All right, I will catch up with you in the DMs. You have a lovely summer, and hopefully you have that book done.
Thank you. It will be. Arbitrary deadline or no, it's happening.
All right, thanks so much, Claire.
Thank you, Gigi. Have a good one. Bye.